So the Julia REPL, that's REPL, that stands, it's an acronym for Run, Evaluate, Print, Loop. And we can enter that by just typing Julia on the command line. And, in Python, you might call this a console. MATLAB has something similar. But in Julia, it's often referred to as the REPL. So, this is a place where we can do interactive coding. Like, for example, we could just say 2 plus 2. It's going to give us 4. We can call some math functions that are loaded in the standard library. We can access old commands with the up and down arrows. We can store variables. So I'm going to assign x equal to 7, and you can recall it later. We can also use that, of course, in other code or functions. So in this case, I'll just create some little function or little code that interpolates the value of x into the string x equals. So there we have that. There's a macro that does something similar in Julia called show. So if you call the macro show on x, there's a lot of other macros available. For example, there's one time that evaluates the time it takes to run a function or run a piece of code. I'll let you refer to the Julia documentation for discussion of all the other macros. We can enter a help session by using the question mark, and you see the prompt there changes to help, and then we can just type in a keyword search. So for example, sign, it'll bring up the documentation for the function sign. We can, there's also a package manager built into Julia, and so in this case, the repository we're in is actually a small package in and of itself, and I can tell that because it has a project .toml here. And if you want to open up, look at that, we can see what it is. So it defines the minimum compatibility for Julia, and it also defines some extra packages that are installed. And in this case, it's only this package test. However, we can enter the package manager in Julia by using the left-facing square bracket. Hit that key and you see again the prompt changes. Now a couple things here. First of all, you see that there's a v1.7. That means that the environment we are in this REPL is the main environment of Julia. But what we actually want to be to interact with this package, the assignment 7 package here, as defined with that project toml, is to be in that environment. So an environment is a sandboxed place where only the packages that are defined within that environment or defined within that project toml will be available. So in this case, if we type activate dot, meaning to type here, then we can activate that environment, and you see that again the prompt has changed, and we're in the assignment 7 environment. So, for example, if we wanted to add a package like plots, for example, we could just say add plots, and this is going to take a little while. But once that finishes, we can reopen the project toml, and you see that there's now this additional dependency on plots that wasn't there before. So that tells us that now this plots is installed into our assignment 7 environment. Again, this is just a sandboxed environment where any other packages outside of those you explicitly list in the project toml or install here, only those will be available. Okay. The package manager is also where we would run tests. So this package has a test folder with some tests defined. Now, I expect them all to fail because there's no implementation here. But if we type test, this will go ahead and run the tests. And again, they're all going to fail because nothing has been implemented in this package so far. Okay, but this is where you could run tests from. So to get out of the package manager, we're going to hit Control C. You see our prompt returns to Julia there. Another thing we can do from the prompt here in the REPL is if we hit the semicolon, you see again the prompt changes to shell, and now we can actually run shell commands. So, we just want to echo something back, or type ls, of course, to list the directories. Again, we can type Control C to exit out of the shell. And then to exit out of Julia, we can type either exit, and X is a function, so we have to type open close parentheses, or we can relaunch Julia. And this time, what I'm going to do when I relaunch it is I'm going to use the argument project equals dot, meaning, here, this location. And what that'll do is it'll actually launch Julia with the environment already activated. So if we enter the package manager, you see that instead of v1.7, that it's already in the assignment 7 environment here. So what I'm going to do is, while we're here, is just go ahead and remove that plots. We don't need it for this assignment. I'm going to hit Control C to get out of the package manager. And then the last thing I was just going to show you is that we can hit Control D to exit Julia instead of typing the exit function. So